What do we have in the Dutch news? There's the evening clock, which is obviously ridiculous. You need to stay indoors from 9 until 4:30. I think that there's no sense in this measure whatsoever. So initially they were planning to start at 9 o'clock, but the let's say the council of ministers there, didn't all agree with it, or let's say the people ruling my country. There's several political parties, and they tend to not agree with it with each other. No matter what subject, there's a big opposition to the ruling party, which is actually a good thing. So they changed it to 9 o'clock. That means that from now on, from Saturday, people in my country need to stay indoors after 9. So the stores close at 8. There's no way you can go night shopping like you do here in Bulgaria, which I would say spreads the risk. When we were in February, March, in the height of the whole thing last year, I went shopping at night. In February or March, I was actually quite nervous because I didn't know what was going on. I'm alone in a foreign country. I don't know if the whole health system would collapse around me. Well, it didn't. It didn't, obviously, but I went shopping at night. There was nobody, and it was absolutely fantastic. If you put people at home 9 o'clock in the evening, they cannot spread their risk evenly. Basically, for some youngsters who go for party, which is their right. I mean, let's get this over with already. You lock down 18 million people in their homes. The only thing that you can do is walk your dog, or go to some emergency, or go to your work. And you get a big split into two groups of people right now. Like everywhere else, there's two camps: people that subscribe to these rules, and other people that are completely going against it. And they're slowly realizing that the Netherlands, the government might not even have their own interests at heart. Like, we don't know what's going on, and people are actually saying, "Hey, this is going too far. This is infringing upon our rights." No matter what you think of it, people are being split up in two. And we shall see what will be the outcome of that. I expect a whole lot more protests, like we had this weekend in Amsterdam. Was a huge protest. It was a big scandal because we have police on horses. Some horses were attacked with weapons, which is obviously, we don't touch the horse, don't touch animals. Some ridiculous people came to these protests. Fair. But to be honest with you, the answer to everything is always in the middle. To speak of the conspiracy theories, if they are even conspiracies anymore, I don't know what to tell you. You think your own thing, I think mine. Be careful what you follow, because some theories, they don't have enough meat on the bones to actually believe them. And some you might actually start thinking, hey, what's going on here? Think for yourself, trust your sense. I can tell you one thing: no matter what I think of this whole situation, I do think it's ridiculous to lock people in their homes after 9 o'clock. I mean, there's no proven, proven benefit to this in reducing any numbers. I think it is an infringement on people's rights, and it goes pretty far to do all of this. But apart from my opinion, my humble opinion, what's the public opinion on this? Because the Dutch news site nu.nl, it has a comment section. It is quite interesting because you can always read what the public thinks about it. And there's been a clear shift that people in the beginning, they were all in favor of these measures, and now there's a pretty strong divide. Here, this says, the evening clock is, let's say, panic sports of the cabinet to cover itself for all that's been tried to hit the spread, or to hide the spread. During the day, there's no problem to go along the street and with as many people as there are walking around, and then in the evening, if you go for a walk, you have a problem with the police. Yeah, that's actually true. It's a fair argument. And the thing is that the simpler the argument, it doesn't matter, because it's not, the government are not held responsible for this. Even the simplest questions are not answered anymore. and I'm not in agreement with it. Evening clock. The good suffer under the bad. Alright, and the bad, they continue on their old patterns. It's also true because if you went out before, you'll probably still do so now. You still wouldn't care anything more than you did before, right? Put the whole cabinet in prison. There they have a clock with times you can go in and out. Maybe they'll learn. In other countries, they had this clock for a longer time, and there were still more infections. Oh yeah, you see, people are becoming quite critical. And I wish the Netherlands a fun and a good winter and spring. Your government has lied to you for 9 months straight, an evening clock until the 9th of February, which is supposed to be the timeline. I'll tell you one thing. You will not come outside in the evening, at least until May, June earliest, because this is once again a lie. Even afterwards, this could have proven the biggest lie ever, that's what people say. And then you have one person saying, oh, here's a person with a bunch of mental problems, haha, the irony. You can say whatever you want, but here's the split in two. And I'll tell you one thing, that for Dutch people, it is very uncommon to mistrust their government. This is revolutionary. My country is very wealthy. Actually, it's an extremely wealthy country. People are very well off. Income differences are quite small. Nobody dies of hunger. Nobody typically dies of disease for lack of treatment, whatever it may be. People are all very well off, so is my family. Huge middle class, like we're not the creme de la creme, but people can afford stuff. We're a first world country in the top of every regard. That's why people trust your government, because it could be trusted, at least for all the basic stuff. But right now people are sensing, hey, something's going on, and they start doing their research. They look into the Great Reset, whatever, and which is actually an initiative that exists. Like that's not even the wrong thing. Let's say that's an initiative that exists, and people start looking. Hey, what does our government subscribe to? What's going on here? And they have a fair point to say that hey, some things are against my interest here. Some things are not aligned with what's benefiting the public, let's say. Here's someone who says, personally, I experienced this as scary and scarier being locked up. This is scarier than having the British strain. People who say that it shouldn't be possible that millions are locked inside for a few hundred on intensive care have no idea what they're talking about. If there were no measures, there were thousands on the intensive care and 10,000 of more deaths. And then another person says, is that why in the flu season we just still went to grandma and grandpa and no measures, and now everything has to suffer? And there you go, that's a nation divided, following in the tracks of the US. This is just horrible. I wish this wouldn't happen to my country. I'm not happy with this at all. It is just a big disaster. No matter what you think of these measures, humanity is suffering on a grand scale. An acquaintance of mine committed suicide, a Dutch guy I know living here in Sofia, and I'm just horrified. I'm horrified by what's happening to my generation, to my people, to my country. But on the other hand, what can you do?